Hello friends, Heidi here from Rain Country. God is good all the time. Well, I'm here today to talk a little bit about skin cream, whether it be you follow my recipe and make your own or you're buying some from me, and what to do if it gets grainy. Now, though I am not entirely certain what causes it to do that, it does happen from time to time. I do have my hypothesis, and that is in regards to temperature fluctuations. So not so much about the, preparing it, though I do always stress, don't get it too hot. You just want to warm it enough that all the ingredients can melt together, which by the way, I will link to my most recent, which is probably about 4 years old now, a video on making the skin cream. And I do have a couple of new varieties I make since then, and I have one that is totally unscented, which means no essential oils are added. I have lavender, and then the rose geranium vanilla was the one I make in that video, and then my original one, which is my personal favorite, is the ylang ylang frankincense, grapefruit, and vanilla. But I've been using my homemade skin cream for, gosh, I don't even know how many years now. It's been many years. It's all I use on my face for a moisturizer. Sometimes I'll occasionally use a little bit of castor oil, either mixing it in with the skin cream or putting it on just before I go to bed. But mostly it's my homemade skin cream. Now this jar here is a jar I keep my own in, which is actually an 8-ounce jar, but I sell it in 4-ounce tins as well as 2-ounce tins. So anyway, if you're interested in purchasing some, because maybe you just want to try it, email me at raincountryhomestead@gmail.com, and I'll send you out the product list, which includes both all the 4 different varieties in the 2 different sizes of 2-ounce and 4-ounce, so you can look at the prices and shipping. And then also I'll be linking to my homemade skin cream, my skin cream recipe video down below, and the video on making the infused oil, because I use my own homemade infused oil, herb infused oil from herbs that I grow myself. You don't have to infuse the herbs. It's just an added benefit. You can just use any oil, olive oil, avocado oil, grapeseed oil, whichever you prefer, and even mix some castor oil in there with that. So it's, you can tailor it. This one's been infusing for several months. Usually 2 months is standard. I like to go at least 2 months infusing at room temperature, but you can see the colors are not quite so bright because, well, it's been infusing for so long. So that's normal. So back to the graininess. So here's what I think happens, because what I notice is that this is most likely to happen in the colder months, whether it happens in shipping when I'm shipping it out to you, or just because I store it in the other room and I don't typically keep a lot of heat going on in there. Every once in a while, I'll have a batch that just gets grainy. It happens to this too. Even when I keep it in the living room where it stays the warmest, it will still, every now and then, I'll get a batch that just keeps wanting to pill up. What I believe it has to do is when it gets really cold, it causes the beeswax. This will happen with cocoa butter as well. If you use cocoa butter in your skin cream, it causes it to pill up and pull together. And so then what I do when that happens is I simply melt it down. So since I keep this in a jar like this, I just simply take the lid off. I put it on a trivet on my wood stove, or if it's, since it typically happens in wintertime, which is why I think it has to do with the cold, then I'll just put it on a trivet and let it slowly melt. And once it's fully melted, I'll keep mixing it in. And that usually helps. Though I do find that once it's pilled once, after a while, it'll want to do it again, especially if it gets cold again. So I do think that is the problem. I've tried to look it up to see if maybe my hypothesis is correct, and I haven't been able to find anything so far. But that will help. So if you receive any like that, I apologize. Trust me, it was good when it went into the container. It wasn't pilled up, and I can see, when it solidifies is when I put the lid on, and you can tell it's nice and smooth and creamy. But anyway, I think the other thing is when you buy creams like this will happen with your lip balm too. If you use beeswax or cocoa butter in your lip balm, the same thing will happen. Now, I used to keep cocoa butter out in the shop, and it would get real cold in the winter, and that would pill up really bad. It would get very, very hard. Just the cocoa butter by itself, you would think it had beeswax pellets in it. But when you buy store-bought things that have beeswax, cocoa butter, and so forth in it. Usually what they're adding is some kind of stabilizers that will prevent that from happening. So you've got these added ingredients, and I don't do that. I keep my ingredients all natural and very simple. So the basic skin cream is just 2 parts coconut oil, 2 parts my infused oil, 1 part shea butter, 1 part beeswax, and that's it. And then I melt them all together, stirring frequently so that it can melt as quickly as possible, but still stay on a low temperature. And then if I'm going to add any essential oils, I usually add them before I start melting it, because otherwise I might forget. But if you're using a low heat, it shouldn't damage your essential oils. But you can also add, and I've also done this too, you can add the essential oils right after it's all melted if you feel better about that. Like I said, I'm more apt to forget to add them, and then I have to pour everything back into the thing, mix it up, and then add the essential oils. But anyway, you can see that video, see what I do. But that, like I said, that is just my best guess on why it pills up like that, because I make it the same every single time. But if it gets colder than usual, or maybe it chills down too fast, that's another thing, is I keep it in here to cool down before I put the lid on. I think I had an old video where I was putting in the fridge. I don't do that anymore, because that's going to be more apt to cause it to pill up, I've noticed. So I just let it set up at room temperature before I put the lid on and then put it away. So there's just a few tips there. Again, you can check out my video on how to make it, or just send me an email if you'd like to try it. And again, if you happen to get that rare batch that ends up being a little gritty or pilly, just try melting it down and you can either take the label off the bottom of the tin and just melt it right in the tin with the lid off, or you can just scrape it out of the tin, put it in something that is heat safe, obviously, and then melt it down and then pour it back in there. So there's a couple of options that you can do there. So anyway, I hope you found this video helpful. Don't forget to check out the video links I'll be putting in the description box down below. And any thoughts, ideas you'd like to share, put those in comments. And thanks for watching. Take care and God bless.